Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Basine? Here. Campson? Here. I see Gabriel. Jordan?
Here.
Martin? Here. Rousen?
Here.
Clanton?
Great, thank you. I'd like to record reflect that Dr. Gabriel will be joining us later. Do I hear a motion to enter an executive closed session?
I move to enter into executive closed session.
Thank you, Dr. Barton. Do I hear a second?
I second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we enter into executive closed session. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Move that members of the school board go into a closed session for the purposes which are set out in subsection A of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of the school board of the City of Norfolk. Pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A1 of the Act, the subjects of this portion of the session are the personnel on today's regular personnel agenda, discussion or consideration of disciplinary and any other matters concerning students in Norfolk Public Schools that would involve the disclosure of information contained in a scholastic record pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A2 of the Act. The subject of this portion of this session is discussion of specific students on today's regular student support agenda. Consultation with legal counsel and briefing by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where discussion in open session would adversely affect the school board's negotiating or litigating posture, and consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel pursuant to subsections 2.2-3711A, 7, and 8 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the session are those set out above in subsections A and B of this motion. To the extent consultation with legal counsel is needed, and consultation with legal counsel regarding the lawsuits and workers' compensation claim filed by former school board employee Cheryl Jordan, the appointment of and contract for a candidate for the position of board clerk to be voted on at the January 11, 2023 organizational meeting, and the unsolicited proposal concerning Maury High School filed with the board pursuant to the Public-Private Educational Facilities and Infrastructure Act of 2002 and Board Policy DJFZ. Basine?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Gabriel? Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Rousen?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. The motion has been approved. We're going to go ahead and enter an executive closed session. Going to call us back to order. Do I hear a motion to certify the executive closed session?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we certify the closed session also with an amendment to the resolution that corrects the status of Cheryl Jordan, the employment status of Cheryl Jordan.
I was going to ask for that, Mr. Jordan, once we certified and got back into a regular session.
Oh,
But I'm
okay,
with you.
all right.
Do I hear a second to certify?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we certify the executive closed session. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
With Virginia law. Now therefore it be resolved that the school board of the City of Norfolk hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the executive meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the executive meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board of the City of Norfolk. Basine?
Aye.
Campson? Aye. Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Rousen?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. Now, without objection, colleagues, to what Mr. Jordan was mentioning, that we amend and correct the resolution by changing former and taking that word out in regards to Cheryl Jordan. Okay? So without objection, that'll take place. So with that, we're now going to move into our public hearing on the school board's fiscal year 23-24 operating budget, and I'll turn things over to Linda.
Good evening, Chairman Clanton, members of the board, members of our community. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to provide a brief overview of the budget process, and then we are excitedly awaiting feedback from our community around their thoughts for the school board's operating budget for fiscal year 23-24. Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Clanton, Vice Chairman, Superintendent Birdsong, and members of the board. We are here this evening to hear and receive input from from members of our community for the school division's operating and capital budgets. Dr. Birdsong requested that I provide introductory context for the division's budget. The primary challenges we face in developing the budget are as follows. I just have three. Declining enrollment. We have about 5,400 fewer students than we had 12 years ago, and enrollment continues to decline. That impacts state revenue, the funds that we receive from the state, which make up about 59% of our general fund budget. 73%, or just a little below 3/4, is devoted to instructional services. That leaves 27% of the budget to cover getting children to and from school, providing clean and comfortable facilities, and providing technology, health services, and administrative support. Finally, teacher and staff pay consumes 85% of the budget, so 85% goes for salaries and benefits. That leaves just 15% of the general fund budget to buy all of the supplies we purchase, textbooks, lighting, heating, cooling, and everything else that it takes to run a school division. We're here to receive community input on the budget going forward. Dr. Birdsong plans to present a proposal to you on February 1st. The state statute requires that you submit a budget to the city manager by April 1st. City council will then consider your budget and make appropriations in May. Chairman Clanton, that's all that I have. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Put this can in. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers?
Chairman Clanton, we do not have any speakers tonight signed up for the public hearing at the start of this meeting.
Okay. Are there any speakers that didn't sign up but are in the room? Okay. Madam Clerk, if individuals would like to make comments and they're not present here today, what method can they do that regarding the budget?
They can always email the school board at schoolboard@nps.k12.va.us.
Okay, thank you. So with that, the time is 6:09. We're going to stand in recess, and we'll be back at 7 o'clock.
Actually, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
recommend that we officially close the public hearing and then go into
Okay.
recess.
You can do that. So I'm going to officially close the public hearing. Any objection? All right, that, and then we're going to stand in recess until 7 o'clock. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Basine?
Here.
Campson? Gabriel?
Present.
Jordan?
Here.
Martin?
Present.
Rousen?
Here.
Clanton?
Present. Our Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. We request that all cell phones and pagers to be turned off or to vibrate during the course of this meeting. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Thank you. Going to item 4.04, the adoption of the school board meeting agenda. I'd like to note the following items which have already been brought to my attention. We're moving out of the consent agenda, item 5.02, use of facilities report. And that will replace item 6.03, which is the Maury High School educational facilities planning topic. we're going to be taking that off, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, are there any other changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none, do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Been moved and properly seconded that we adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Chair hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Basine? Aye. Campson? Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Rousen?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. The agenda stands approved. We have our student musical performance. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Channel 47, are you prepared to show the student musical performance given by Norview High School Orchestra?
Good evening, Chair Clanton, Vice Chair Dr. Gabriel, school board members, Dr. Birdsong, administration, and guests. My name is Zach Rooksby, and I'm the Senior Coordinator for Music and Theater Instruction for Norfolk Public Schools. The month of December is the season for performing arts students across the city to demonstrate their learning through concerts and performances. Norfolk Public School students have been performing in over 70 different events, including concerts and plays at their schools, performances at Centera Lee Hospital, Chrysler Museum, at ODU's Education Day, at the VHSL State Football Championships, Senior Regional Orchestra, and much, much more. Preparing for these performances is the backbone of what makes performing arts such an enriching experience for students. Tonight, we are featuring the performance by the Norview High School Chamber Orchestra under the direction of Miss Kiara Smith. They'll be performing Dance of the Iscariot by Kurt Mosier. Thank you for your continuing support of the fine arts. Have a wonderful holiday season and enjoy the performance.
Thank you to the Norview High School Chamber Orchestra. That is not an easy piece, and they did a good job. We're now going to move on to our school board clerk's report, 4.06. Ms. Tanner?
Chairman Clanton, board members, Superintendent Dr. Birdsong, MPS staff, and attendees, please take note again of the beautiful artwork here in the boardroom for December and in the hallway. The artwork this go-around for December is from Booker T. Washington High School, Larchmont, Camp Allen, Sewells Point, and Ingleside Elementary Schools. Each month, we will have a rotation of artwork to highlight our students' efforts through Georgiana Filio, Senior Coordinator of Art Education. And we have the following observances for December: Human Rights Month, Learn a Foreign Language Month. December 2nd was Special Education Day. December 3rd, International Day of People with Disabilities. December 5th was International Volunteer Day. December 6th through the 12th was Computer Science Education Week. And we celebrate December 26th through January 1st with Kwanzaa. And this concludes our report.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. And we'll now proceed to item 4.07, the superintendent's report.
Good evening, Chairman Clanton, Vice Chairman Gabriel, members of the board, and our community. Good evening again. This month we have another special video for you. It highlights not only our Teacher of the Year program, which all of you participated in. Was it last week or the week before last? Last week. All the days are like coming together. It was such a wonderful celebration of our teachers, and so you'll get to see a little bit of that, and most importantly, you'll get to see our children in action. So please roll the video.
Norfolk Public Schools proudly recognize Teachers of the Year from every school in the district during a special ceremony at the Doubletree by Norfolk Airport Hilton. This festive celebration of our most outstanding educators featured musical performances by our students and was emceed by 2022 Citywide Teacher of the Year, Subhadra Desiraju. As the evening progressed, the top 12 teachers were announced, and then the top 3 teachers were brought on stage, where Superintendent Dr. Sharon Birdsong named Clayton Singleton, an art teacher from Lake Taylor High School, Citywide Teacher of the Year. For all 3 finalists, this acknowledgement affirmed what they do for students and colleagues each and every day.
It means everything. Sometimes we work so hard and you don't feel like you're making a difference, but to be voted on, to be nominated, to, the outpouring of love from your students and your colleagues, it's wonderful. It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling.
It's truly humbling, honestly. The things I do each and every day, I don't do it for the prize or the award. I do it for my students and the staff in making our staff environment cozy and comforting. And I just want to bring that love to the students, so it's just truly an honor.
I'm at a loss of words. This is beautiful. It is one of the greatest moments I can say that I've had. I am extremely humbled by this entire experience. I'm kind of familiar with some of the other teachers, and they rock, they shine. Like they shine. They are just phenomenal. I just feel humbled and honored. I truly do.
Approximately 40 fathers and mentors visited Booker T. Washington High School for a special breakfast with their children as a part of the All Pro Dads program. This national program, which was created with assistance from Coach Tony Dungy, is designed to get dads actively involved with their children in the school setting. During the event, fathers and students learned how to celebrate each other and listen to inspiring messages from a guest speaker and a member of Booker T's staff.
It shows spiritual care and divine, genuine care from these parents and these people that are doing this, because now the kids have something that they can look forward to and people believing in them. I know it's more than biscuits and orange juice. The kids is more than them being out of school. They get their dads coming here.
Sometimes being that I am a junior, it's hard to separate school and outside and extracurricular, and to be able to just have the encouragement and the calm environment to settle my mind and be able to bring my father to help me do so is a blessing. It is encouraging and it's motivational.
It allows just our school and school community and myself just connect with our fathers. I think that's important to kind of get the dads engaged. Often you see mom coming into school, which is awesome, but again, that allows us to kind of reach dad to come in and really play that key role in the educational process. So it's exciting.
I'm getting a sense of encouragement and a drive to continue to do what I'm doing and showing support for my kids. I have 4 children, 2 that actually go here to Booker T. You know, just continuing to say, hey, you know, what you're doing is great. Keep doing it and continue to be an example to them in everything that they do in their walk in life.
Excited students and parents were out in force for the Specialty Program Showcase at Norview High School. This amazing event, which happened for the first time since 2019, featured every middle and high school specialty program in Norfolk Public Schools. Guests were able to listen to formal presentations in the auditorium and visit tables in the Commons area to ask specific questions and learn more about the programs.
It's so important because we have a lot of programs that people don't necessarily know a lot about. This helps everybody really understand what we offer and how they can work on achieving those goals of getting their students into the different programs. We want to make sure everybody's aware of everything before they try to make decisions.
I didn't realize how many extracurricular activities that they had that were so interesting. There was robotics, and some of them had pre-med stuff, and I didn't even think middle schools were doing that yet. I think it's good. I didn't think I was going to have to, I didn't think that I would experience this until my daughter's in high school.
It's going really good. Some of the programs I didn't think I would really be interested in, I kind of found really interesting. I think it's really good because I wasn't really interested in Lake Taylor, but now I'm thinking about it being one of my options.
So far, I've been looking around the program, see what high school I want to go to. It's pretty interesting because it's a pretty diverse set of programs. They've definitely helped me, I'd say, especially in trying to figure out what program I want to go to and which program applies to my beliefs and what I want to do.
Teachers from Southside STEM Academy at Compostela spent a Saturday morning purchasing supplies for their classrooms, thanks to a generous gift from Office Depot. Over $20,000 was available for these teachers to spend at the Office Depot at Janeth that morning, and the money could be used on virtually anything in the store. In addition, door prizes were distributed to those in attendance, and all the teachers at Southside STEM Academy received gift bags.
Oh, we're excited to do it. Today I have all the GMs in this area representing their store that also participate in this. They're here helping the teachers shop and find what they need.
We're here to help. We've pulled a bunch of store managers from the whole area to make sure that we're here so that we can help and answer any questions and get anything ordered. So the sky's the limit. We're really happy that the school is here. We're really happy that you're here, and we're just happy to be involved in the community.
I'm extremely excited to be able to purchase some things for my classroom to help me out with things that I just need for my students that maybe I won't be able to, get on my own. So this is an awesome opportunity for me and for my classroom, for my students.
Their faces are just lit up, and I actually have goosebumps just thinking about it, just seeing the excitement on their faces, just knowing that they feel appreciated, valued, and recognized. To have this type of an event to be acknowledged, it's just not something that they get all the time, and so just to have this, it's very meaningful for them.
Representatives from J&A Racing visited Lindenwood Elementary to bring nearly 30 students brand new pairs of running shoes. These excited 2nd through 5th graders, along with students from 3 other Norfolk schools, have been training to participate in the Norfolk Harbor 1-mile race. J&A provided not only the shoes, but also the entry fee for the race in the hopes that these young people will gain a real interest in running.
We have a foundation, and we like to give back to the schools and be charitable to the communities that we run with. So we love the children, and we know that they love running, and we enjoy them at the races. I got a lot of high fives, a lot of people saying they can run faster and jump higher, and they can't wait for the race next week.
J&A Racing, I've worked with them in the past at other schools. They go out of their way to make sure children have the opportunity to be a part of something like this. Then not only do they do that, but then they give them shoes to go along with that race entry fee. Oh man, it's unbelievable. They were running around, they had their new shoes on and dancing and just super excited that they got their new shoes today, and they were so happy.
Norfolk Public Schools board members and administrators brought their legislators back to schools for the first time in 3 years. Representatives from local, state, and federal governments got an up-close look at teaching and learning in our schools so they can better understand the needs of our district.
Norfolk schools have a great program where they invite the legislators who make a lot of decisions about how we operate, how we fund, what we're doing in our public schools. They invite them to come in and see the schools, see the teachers at work, get presentations from the principals around what they're doing, what they need, so that they can make really informed decisions in January when they go into session.
Well, I think a lot of times, and I think all of us, whether we're on the school board or in the General Assembly or in Congress, sometimes get disconnected. So being able to come into the classroom, talk to teachers, see the students in action, provides that connectivity to the policies or the legislation that we're passing and the real impact that it can have positively or negatively in the classroom.
And we don't get to go to every school, but it's a sneak peek inside, and it's always a healthy thing when we allow those folks that are just trying to set us up for success, especially at the state level, to come behind the doors and see the products of the good work that we can do, right? Bringing funding and to see the things, the potential that we can do. It makes it real. It makes the work real.
Following the school visits, everyone met together at Booker T. Washington High School to discuss legislative goals and how these lawmakers can best help our schools and our children.
It allows us an opportunity to kind of have a conversation, to walk through, allow them to get a visual sight of the things that we're asking for, which are the needs and concerns. And it's really a great opportunity for fellowship at all the different levels of government, and as we work together for the common good of those we represent.
It's important because we help fund public education, and I'm a big believer in public education. I don't believe we fund it nearly enough to where it can be it will be as successful as it can be. But I believe that coming here, seeing the conditions, seeing the schools, seeing the students, actually putting faces to dollars is really what we're doing, is very, very helpful.
Before signing off, I have just two announcements. First of all, I think it's fitting that we recognize Dr. Linnell Gibson after 38 years of service. She will be retiring from Norfolk Public Schools, and today we gave her a Queen's farewell. So farewell. Children and families of Norfolk Public Schools, thank you. Also, I just want to wish the staff and students and everyone a wonderful, restful winter break, and be ready to come back January 2nd, ready to go, because we have a lot of work to do. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Great, thank you, thank you. A lot of great things happening in Norfolk Public Schools, and I also ditto those sentiments. Thank you so much, Dr. Gibson, for your 38 years of service. I was shocked when I saw that number. I was like, 38, really? But we're going to miss you, and we hope that you enjoy your retirement. Our next item that we have is item 4.08, which is citizens' comments on agenda items. Madam Clerk.
For tonight's citizens' comments on agenda items only, we have two speakers. Today's speakers have signed up for public comments before the start of today's business meeting. If you would like to provide public comments for agenda items only, you're required to state the agenda item or items you are addressing prior to providing your public comments at this meeting. When your name is called, please come forward to the speaker's podium, state your name and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools, or if you are employed by the district, and state your agenda items. One person, excuse me, is to speak at a time. If you are representing a group, state the group's name. You may ask your group members to stand in place to be recognized. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes. A timer is set with an alarm that will signify the end of your speaking time. State your position and give facts and other relevant data. Avoid saying anything that identifies students or personnel information about individual employees. Personnel, disciplinary, and confidential matters may be addressed to the school board directly via email at schoolboard@nps.k12.va.us. Comments should be addressed to the board and not addressed to an individual member. School board members do not respond to public comments at the time they are given, and any written statements or supporting materials should be given to the clerk. And Chairman Clanton, as we transition to the clock. Our first speaker is Tiffany Moore Buffalo, followed by Nicole Saunders or Sanders. She can correct me when she comes to the podium.
Good evening, Board Chairman Clanton and Superintendent Dr. Birdsong, and those of you who are present and watching from home. My name is Tiffany Moore Buffalo, and I am the Norfolk School Board member-elect for Ward 4. I have several questions regarding the academic program proposed for Ruffner Middle School. After reviewing the past school board meeting and presentation on Ruffner's programming proposal, I have several questions. One, what is the communication plan for families during this transition? Are there any parent groups working in the best interest of this transition? Will there be elementary, middle school teacher advisory groups for this transition? What is the plan for organizational leadership for elementary and secondary programs? What are the allocations for staffing for elementary and middle school? What is the plan for student safety? What is the building flow for students? How will students be housed in the building? How will administration address any challenges on front, including discipline, attendance, and academic supports? Is there a designated individual leading this transition moving forward? With all these questions, I humbly ask that the school board postpone the vote tonight, as I know there is more time needed for discussion on this topic. So I do humbly ask the school board to postpone their vote tonight on Ruffner, as I will be representing Ward 4 starting January 1st. We have 2 days left in December. Students and staff are going home for the holiday break. I will take a seat January 1st representing Ward 4. So again, I humbly ask the school board to postpone their vote, as I will be at the table and having these discussions and courageous conversations surrounding Ruffner Middle School. So blessings and thank you.
Next, we have Nicole Saunders or Sanders.
Excuse me, good evening, it's Sanders. This evening, I would like to speak in regards to the student support services, specifically in regards to public safety in your schools. I will also be back up here again speaking specifically in regards to an incident that happened at my daughter's school, which is Norview Middle. Even your council-elect even brought up a point. What are we going to do about safety? Safety is a big issue in Norfolk Public Schools, and that goes from the infrastructure on down to the bullying issues that we have amongst Norfolk Public Schools. I'm not shocked by the lack of attention that the school board as a whole gives some of these situations that we have. Again, in particular, I'm not going to speak about my daughter's issue right now. I'm going to talk about that later because I want to use my entire 3 minutes for that. But you have a serious safety issue in the city of Norfolk. Our children are in your hand most of the time, and if you realize the things that are going on, you can't say that you are connected to the community if you don't see the correlation with the things that are happening in the school that are trickling over to our neighborhoods. You have issues that are going on in the schools that once these children are out of school, it now happens in our neighborhoods. So now we have crime that's going on. We have a little bit of everything that's going on. And the school board, to me, has not done a good job in regards to safety and bullying. I've looked on the website. I don't see any comprehension plans. I don't see, you all doing anything as a whole. You keep talking about community engagement. You can't get community engagement when we're coming to you talking about the safety of our children that you have in your presence. For you're with our children. Your staff is with our children more than we are. And it starts at the head. If the head doesn't even respond to us, how do you expect the rest of your staff and the rest of your folks to apply these same efforts? you all don't respond to anything. This is just a formality. This is just to be placed on the record, to be honest with you. I don't expect you to do anything. I don't want you to do anything, because at this point, it is now a constituent issue that we ourselves are going to take into our hands, because you all seem to not care about our children. It's not fair that we should feel that we have to move to different areas or different cities or even out of the state in order for our children to be in schools that are safe, where they're having bullying issues, where they are being neglected. And I'm going to come back up here because I want to specifically talk about the issue that you all did not address regarding my daughter at Norview Middle.
Chairman Clanton, this concludes our speakers.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, we'll now proceed to the item 4.09, approval of the consent agenda, and this is as amended. Remember, we've moved item 5.0 to use of facilities report out. So do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the consent agenda as amended. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Hampson?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Ralston?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. The consent agenda as amended stands approved. We're now in our discussion decision agenda, and we now have item 6.01, our monthly financial report. Mr. Jenkins.
Good evening, Chairman Clanton, Vice Chair Gabriel, Dr. Birdsong, and members of the school board. This evening, I'll review the monthly financial report for the month of November. I think Karen is getting that up now. Thank you, Karen. The November report covers 5 months for the fiscal year that started July 1st. As with previous months, the report reflects all the activity financial between July and November that was recorded on or before December 5th. The general fund collections during this 5 months were $137 million, which is 37% of the $383 million general fund budget. Collections during the same period for the 2 previous years ranged between 32 and 33%, so we're slightly ahead of previous years. On page 3 of the highlights, we see graphs that show both spending and revenue collections for the current year. By the end of November, we had spent $124 million, or 32% of our budget. This also included purchase orders outstanding. Again, the revenue was $137 million. During the previous 2 years, spending at this point in time ranged between 31.8% and 32.4%. So we are right in the middle of those two now. This year's spending is similar to the others. Page 4 includes 2 graphs, one for revenue, the other for spending, that shows the monthly information for the previous 2 years and the 5 months of the current year. The monthly trend reports, the monthly trend appears in the green background. If more detailed information about tonight's report is available starting on page 5. We had no budget transfers exceeding $50,000. Chairman Clanton, that concludes my comments on the financial report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Colleagues, are there any questions? Basine?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. I have a couple of questions, two questions really. So one, I wondered if you could give us an update on the revenue sharing formula and where we are with that as of
Sure.
now.
Yes, and I haven't seen any detailed information. I did get a copy of, I believe, a correspondence from the acting budget director for the city of Norfolk. We have a revenue sharing agreement whereby specific revenues are used in order to fund the city's share of the school board's budget. They're generally tax revenues, such as property taxes, sales taxes, but typically tax revenue as opposed to fee revenue. And we get just under 30% of those revenues. And if the actual collections exceed the amount that the city includes in their budget, they share that excess with us. I don't have details on the specifics of the revenue, what we call true-up, but I have been told that the true-up is, I believe, around $7 or $7.1 million. So that says to me that the collections by the city in revenues in the shared accounts was about 22 million, more or less, greater than they had budgeted. Our portion was about 30%, which comes to the 7.1 million, if I did the math in my head real quickly. So that's what we can expect as a settlement for last fiscal year, the year that ended June 30, 2022. The school board, under the city's policy, the school board may ask that those funds be reappropriated in a succeeding year for one-time purposes.
Okay.
Okay, there's that, and I just add, this is separate from the reversion, which would be the excess funds that are in our budget for that same year. So there are the final numbers there I'm still waiting for, but they will be out soon as well.
Okay, so they'll be out soon, the reversion funds. Okay. So I was looking at page 3 of the report, and I was looking specifically at our actual expense and our actual revenue and seeing approximately about a 13 million difference there. And one of the things I think a few of us have shared just questions around, again, around strategies for those schools where we have the greater number of vacancies. Like how can we? Is there an opportunity to use funds to, whether it's to teachers that have recently retired or recently resigned, or is there a way that we can discuss, stipends, bonuses, or whatever we need to do to try to attract teachers back into our schools where we have the greatest needs? And so those are some questions that I have in terms of how we might use some of these funds.
You can, from this graph, you can see that in green are the expenditures and encumbrances. That would be purchase orders we've issued but have not yet received products or paid for them. And beside that, in red, are the revenues that we collected. Obviously, the revenue is higher this year by a healthy amount. Some of that is because we have collected revenue from the city faster than we have in prior years. For instance, this year we have collected 40% of the annual allocation from the city, whereas last year at the same point in time we'd collected 32%. So that explains a portion of the excess. But you're also quite correct that there have been significant savings because we, like practically every other school district, if I'm understanding correctly, are having a terribly difficult time recruiting staff. We have a lot of vacancies, just as we've had for the last several years. That does cause a surplus, if you will, but it also causes a lot of other issues. We certainly are trying to ameliorate some of the conditions through things like paying additional duties or additional funds when teachers take on students from an absent colleague's class. A little noise outside.
Sorry, I know, I couldn't hear you either.
Yeah, so we're certainly trying to provide additional compensation to teachers as they take on additional classes or additional students that's outside the normal. You did approve, and we did use funds from the state to provide funds in the form of of a bonus that's to come out in 2 days to our employees. So there are things that we've certainly done. As far as your discussion as to what we might do, I mean, there's...
Right, and I guess that's for us to decide.
At this point, we haven't, I can't tell you exactly where we are. We've not run the, looked at the expenditures of, to determine what our surplus is, but I suspect it won't be terribly different from the way it's been in the last several years.
Right, because it looked like we were pretty much on par with.
Well, we have, our vacancy rate is similar.
Right, right. And with that, you know, and I understand, you know, my comments more to the board, and I understand this is being experienced across the district, across the country at varying levels, but I do, and I know we're working hard with the strategies that we have in place, but I think that we need to look and see what we can do differently. Look at what our return on investment is toward with our current recruitment strategies. Look at, you know, what we might learn from other districts that are having success with different strategies. I know some have resorted to additional bonuses, hard to staff stipends, which we've done before, but we also could look back and see why that didn't work. Perhaps it's the amount, perhaps it's what can we take off of our teachers' plates. You know, what I'm imploring us to work together to think of some other strategies. So, and with these funds, like how we can do that, those are some things I'd like us to pursue. So,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Jordan.
Just a couple of things that Ms. Basine prompted. So one, I know there was some email going around regarding the bonus that you referenced. Can you just remind us again the full amount of the bonus and what NPS is contributing? And
certainly. We received funds from the state of Virginia. It was included in the budget that the General Assembly passed. They're using funds from, I will get the acronym wrong, but it's from the state and local portion of the American Rescue Plan. There are at least two parts, probably way more, but the two I'm most familiar with from the American Rescue Plan was money coming to school divisions called ESSER funds, and it was actually ESSER 3, but there was a similar amount going to the state and also localities within the state, and that's called CLSRF something. But I bring this up because the state of Virginia decided to use a part of the state ARPA funds to fund this bonus. They sent funds to us, I believe. The checks were scheduled to arrive on December 1st. I'm sorry I did not check, but I'm fully confident the state did what they were told to do. That those funds were to be sent to us to cover bonuses of $1,000 for every position the state funded. So standards of quality positions, any other positions that are funded in any number of state revenue accounts. For instance, there's funds they provide us for at-risk purposes or for prevention, intervention, or mediation. So they provided funding for a bonus for every single employee that is included in the state's funding formula. The bonus was to be $1,000, and they also sent us the funding to pay for the Social Security taxes on that $1,000, the employer's portion. So each employee received a gross bonus of $1,000. From that, we withheld all required state and federal income taxes, as we are required to pay. Those amounted typically to, I believe, $355. So I think everybody was to receive more or less $645 or $646. So this is very similar to the bonus that you had authorized us to pay during the spring of last year. I believe it was in April. We provided a larger bonus of $2,500, and each employee netted about $1,650 more or less. So So that's part of it. The other thing is, you as a board had also approved that to use part of our reversion from fiscal 21, I believe, to provide bonuses to all of the employees who weren't funded by the state for a bonus. So those funds, was about $2.5 million, were used to provide the exact same bonus to the entire staff. So everybody received gross pay before taxes of $1,000, netting around $645.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I just have 2 requests for the Board of Superintendent's consideration. One is with the funding formula, the initial estimate that the City Council would have, or the budget office, city's budget office, would have provided to NPS. I'd like for us to get a copy of that in writing. And then also at the budget public hearing, there was reference to the budget calendar. And I'd like to get that in writing also, so we're clear on what the calendar is. Thank you.
Okay, so colleagues, Mr. Jordan's asked for the funding formula from the city to get that as a hard copy to be sent out to everyone, as well as the budget public hearing calendar. We have some dates for that to be.
Just for clarity, not the, I mean, you can share the formula, but in the formula in September, we're supposed to get a initial estimate, then there's a mid-year estimate, then there's a final estimate.
So you wanted the initial estimate?
The
right?
initial estimate that we should have received in September.
My correction, the initial estimate is a hard copy sent to everyone. All right, everybody good with that? Okay, great. Are there any additional questions for Mr. Jenkins? All right, hearing none, thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report subject to audit.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the financial report as presented, subject to audit.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Great, thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded that we accept the monthly financial report subject to audit. Is there any additional discussion? Chair hearing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Ralston?
Aye.
And Clanton?
Aye. Thank you. We're moving to item 6.02, Ruffner 3.8 Academic Program Model. Dr. Birdsong?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Clanton. Dr. Gibson, I believe it was a couple of months ago, was asked to present the model to the board. We did so, and at this point, our continued recommendation is for the board to go ahead and approve programming so that we can certainly get started, get things in place so we're ready for our children in September 2023.
Okay. Because we're in a formal session, do I hear a motion to adopt the administration's recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the recommendation presented by Dr. Birdsong and the administrative team for the Ruffner 3.8 academic programming.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. We'll now proceed with comment, discussion. I would like to start off with that, though, Dr. Birdsong, with Dr. Gibson. I know that you were heading up this particular item here, and there were several inquiries that were made, and I think if you may be able to address some of those for the benefit of the board.
Dr. Gibson, please.
Yeah, well, I wrote some of them down here. Question about the separation between the elementary and middle school programming, what we may potentially be looking at with leadership, and I guess with the potential with the elementary and the middle school, leadership within the school. I know you presented several items that were already here, but I just wanted to kind of bring those to you.
Let me answer the part of the question that you all assigned to me when I was here last time first. You all had asked that I go back to the community and work with parents and get their input to see what their response was to the proposed academic programming. I did that. I had 109 parents who responded, 143 students who responded. Based on their responses, there's no opposition to the proposed academic programming. So at this point, we don't have any amendments for the proposed academic programming, and we are requesting that it be approved so that we can begin planning the academic program. From there, as we are planning the academic program, we will begin to transition the building so that there's a part for 3-5, a part for 6-8. There are common areas that are used and assigned just as they are at Southside STEM and your other K-8 schools. Cafeteria schedules, morning schedules, library use, those things, the gym, the music rooms, those things are scheduled so that your elementary 3-5 children are in session at a time when your 6-8 children are not in session. If you're familiar with elementary schools, there are entrances for kindergarten, there are entrances for your lower elementary, your upper elementary, and usually those children don't have much interaction throughout the beginning, all day, and then end of the school day. So as we're planning the academic program, Mr. Fraley and Dr. Kimsey will be working with Ms. Flemings to plan the operational pieces of the school, to set up the campus, to move the playgrounds, or to buy playground equipment so that your 3-5 children will have their full comprehensive elementary school program, and your 6-8 children will have theirs. So that piece we will probably need to come back or to have you tour the building from stage to stage so that you can see how the building will be transformed, how it will be organized. As I say transformed, I don't mean we will go in and build a lot of walls and make a lot of things different, but the building will be sectioned off so that the children who are having their elementary experience will be able to enjoy it in an elementary setting. As they move from 5th grade to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, those middle school students will also be able to have their middle school experience. We're talking about a new academic program that's going to transform the entire learning community there. So you may have some things that are 3-8, but that learning program for the most part will be structured just as it is in other K-8 schools so that the children have their learning areas. So it'll be something that you'll get to experience and see unfold. But there are many different phases and many different parts that are going to be working and planned at the same time. I hope I addressed some of those questions generally. I don't want to give you specifics because I don't want to tell you something that's not true.
Got it. I appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Gibson. Colleagues, I definitely want to open up the floor for any additional, but I wanted her to be able to provide some clarity. Dr. Gabriel?
Thank you, Chairman Clanton and Dr. Gibson. I just want to thank you again for the work that you and your staff have done on the development of the academic program and the rigorous curriculum that's set forth for the students, which was really generated by a lot of community participation. I appreciate the fact that when the board asked you to get some more feedback from the community, you deliberately went to the schools, participated in school programs, whether it be the PTA events or STEM night that was already scheduled, so that way you could maximize the parental input, the community input for your feedback. I think you had between 14 and 20 some events that you guys kind of tried to get involved by the time you had to present back to the board. So I do appreciate that. And that parental input is very important, and it's by your testimony, it supports the need for transformation academically. And of course, safety and the other programming items are going to be at the forefront as you continue to flesh out this wonderful program.
And to be clear, the executive directors and I each attended events at the schools where we were there for 5 in-person times, and from there, the principals in the schools, along with their staff, continue to survey parents and get their input.
Dr. Ralston?
Yes, thank you for the thorough report. And I do want to say I'm glad that you said that we already have this concept in place in Norfolk Public Schools, and that the team will be looking at some of the do's and don'ts in this model, because there are both that we will use to create this one. So this may be the model school based on some of the things that we've already seen, and build on that. So I'm very excited about this concept, but it's not a new concept. It's not anything new. We've been doing it in Norfolk Public Schools, and so we have a lot to look at as we model this one from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Martin?
I'd just like to build on that. We have other, elementary, middle school, combined schools. I know my children have benefited from having them, and the mentorship that can develop between the upper grades and the lower grades is really important to set the example for the younger children. So I'm really excited about this new program at Ruffner. It's a beautiful school, still very new, but unfortunately it's underpopulated. And so I think that this is going to breathe some new life into that school. One of my concerns continues to be any walkers in the area. Being right next to Tidewater Drive, really, I can't, every time I drive through there and watch how fast these cars are going to get on the interstate and whatnot, it just terrifies me. And I think we need to really pay special attention and involve the community and making sure that we not only, obviously want to keep them safe in school, but definitely coming to and from school. And we already have some amazing programs there in the library and with their technical communications, little shows they have going on for announcements. Really exciting, and I just can't wait to see how all of this pans out.
Ms. Basine and then Ms. Campson.
Thank you, Mr. Clanton. Dr. Gibson, thank you for your work on this. I attended a couple of those additional sessions that you had, and first and foremost, the family nights were really engaging. It was really cool to see our teachers and our families gathering and working together on hands-on activities, STEM activities. So that was wonderful and a great opportunity that you utilized to get additional feedback. As you know, back in March when we had the initial public hearing on this, I expressed concern around it being a 3rd through 8th grade. Yes, we have this concept in other areas of our district. We have K-8s, we have 3/8s. But how effective are each of those programs in producing positive student outcomes? And that's a question that this board, I think, really needs to look hard at as we bring on additional 3/8s or K-8s or other just academic programs in general, especially as we are inviting open choice seats as well. And as you've heard me say before, I've said, my whole position is looking at our programs holistically. Are we meeting the goals of the program at each of our schools? Are we attracting students to the school? Are we attracting a diverse group of students to our school? Are we meeting the needs of each child? And right now, just with the programming that we have in place, you all obviously have heard my concerns with staffing. And I'm very concerned that we could have this exciting program and not have the staffing that we need to fully execute, not just at Ruffner, but at many of our schools that are in great need right now. So I continue to have unreadiness. I still have a lot of questions about not so much the program that you have presented here, but the actual implementation. And for example, Southside STEM Academy, I think for the last few years, I've asked for an update on are we meeting the goals at that school. I know Mr. Jordan, Miss Christine Smith, at the time we'd all kind of, had asked for a dedicated update on that, as well as an update, as I said, holistically across all of our programs, our specialty programs, our choice programs. And so I feel like we're not there yet. And I have unreadiness to take action on this with so many factors that I think can impact its success. So for now, I'm unready to vote positively for this school and this program.
Thank you, Ms. Basine. Campson.
Thank you. Dr. Gibson, we are going to be sorry to lose you. And I think this work that you've done at Ruffner has been a good not a show, but a good indication for all of us of the kind of work and organizational program you've done. I've always admired the way you organize, and we're seeing it there, seen it recently on the task force, so it's going to be a loss. We all have obligations, and we know you have to meet those obligations. We will just be sorry to lose you. And I think that this program that we're putting into Ruffner has your fingerprints all over it. Recently, when we were doing the Take Your legislator to school, we went to Lake Taylor School, another school that has gone into steps, and it was done for a couple of reasons. One of which was we needed to start taking out some of our small older schools and giving our students a good overview of what happens. And what I saw there was one of the things that makes it work so well, and that was the bigger kids helping the littler kids as they went down, and the way that they could work together. They are very, very separated on a minute-to-minute, hour-by-hour basis, and that's part of the model that we see here with these K-8 and 3-8 schools. But they do come together, and they're on teams, and to see the big kids come in and show some of the little kids how to do things, they're like big brothers and big sisters. It's a good way to build relationships, and also a good way to address some of the problems that we sometimes have at our middle schools with that age. It's a challenging age, challenging for the children and for the adults. And when they go in and work with the littler kids, it's amazing how it transforms how they look at everything and how they act to the smaller kids. Even if they're not getting along so well with themselves, they take care of those little kids. So it's going to be exciting to see how this works. I know we were under a little pressure because they were closing Tidewater Park. I mean, it's going to be gone, and we needed to get the kids in, and the transition that we've gone through this year is very exciting, and I'm very, very anxious to get to see it. So thank you for your service to Norfolk Public Schools. You're going out with a bang, girl.
Mr. Jordan.
Yeah. First, I have a question, then comments. At the previous presentation, you were sharing there was a steering committee or some type of committee, and I had requested to get a copy of who was on the committee. I don't know if I ever got that. Who are the parent representatives who are on the, whatever it is, steering committee, decision committee, whatever the committee is called?
We do have a list of the committee members, and that's public knowledge because we send them. Is it okay for us to give Mr. Jordan? I can send you a copy of the list, of the committee list, and we have added people from the St. Paul's Advisory Committee that's working with the St. Paul's redevelopment. So I will send that tomorrow morning so you can see that list, and you'll see the job title or the title of each person on that list.
Yeah, I would, and I requested that before because I
do apologize.
No,
for
I'm not.
that.
It's not a blame thing. I'm just explaining why I requested it. That, so I think there's more connectivity that we need, and as we've talked about some in governance training, I think this is an opportunity to push the envelope more in terms of the depth of the proposal that we have before us, so that we have greater intentionality that aligns with the strategic plan, goals, and objectives that have been adopted. For example, under student excellence, objective 3 notes increase access and opportunities to diverse learning experiences for each student to promote growth and life readiness upon graduation. Ms. Basine mentioned something about the big picture. And in my own experience, so my children went to Ghent K-8. The Ghent K-8 community is unique and special to Ghent citywide, how it's been formed, how it operates. When we embarked upon what is now ADL, part of our goal was to have socioeconomically diverse learning environments, and ADL with project-based learning and the IB program was to help us to accomplish that. ADL now is one of our least diverse schools, even while it is a great school and is accomplishing great things. With Southside STEM Academy, we agreed to a choice program. We agreed, at least the board at the time agreed, that Southside STEM would not be the default middle school, but when it came time for implementation, it became the default middle school, and to date, we've just kind of accepted that, even though that's not what we've asked for. And even with the Lake Taylor School, which is another great school, when we talked about grandfathering in Ingleside and some other things get lost. And I've experienced that multiple times. And so I think that what we're talking about at Ruffner is deserves, in our pursuit of excellence and equity, greater depth. I think we can learn from the strategic planning and management team that we had at ADL that I think some of us here some of you participated on. I think we need to learn from successes at Southside STEM and challenges. I think we need to learn from likewise at all of our K-8s and 3-8s. And I don't see us yet having put all the pieces of the puzzle together so that we can see how these things fit. So for example, I think the proposed programs are great programs, but how does one impact the other? So if we have a goal where we're trying to create choice options, I think we need to have a deeper understanding of what is it that would draw, who are we trying to draw? What's the choice? What's unique from, as we saw in the video earlier, from one specialty program to another that really drives home the goal that we're trying to achieve. The other principle that have embedded in the strategic plan and have had embedded in our educational planning principles since 2013, 2012, is really trying to have fewer school campuses that are concentrated in poverty and racially isolated. And thus far, I don't see anything in what we've discussed thus far that gives us an indication whether or not we are achieving that, moving in that direction, or not. And in 2020, we adopted this anti-racism policy, and we really drove home talking about equity and opportunity and systemic practices. And it's been a systemic practice in our city where we have zoned concentrated poverty and racial isolation. And as of right now, it seems to me we may or may not be doing that again here, and I don't want to leave it to chance. And so I also have raised before, as part of the St. Paul's project, Norfolk Public Schools, I believe, is still the educational partner in that project. So when we talk about students who are currently zoned for Ruffner, in the midst of the demolition that has occurred at Tidewater Park, Tidewater Gardens, I think we need to have a clear understanding and factor in those students who have been displaced and are at other schools right now, have an understanding of who is indicating that they may return, what does the student population look like, and how do we prioritize those students, if appropriate, whether it be in this program or how we prioritize them with access to other specialty programs. Because it's still my sense that there's not a true deep understanding, as I think we should have it, around just how significant the St. Paul's transformation is. I shared before that That area is maybe the only and one of 2 or 3 census tracts in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia where there are more children under the age of 18 than are over. So it is, I think we have to do more than just simply say that we've done this before and we know it. Crossroads is similar in that it's a zoned school. ADL is different, it's a citywide school. Ghent is different, it's a citywide school. Southside STEM, I've mentioned that already. Lake Taylor is kind of a zone school. I think we can do more than where we are right now. And I am, based upon what my experience has been thus far, I think we need a much greater, I think what's been done is great, but I think we need far more intentionality around parent voice, student voice, and aligned with the principles that we have adopted in the strategic plan. And so I don't think we're there yet, and I think we could benefit. Doesn't have to be long, but I think in January or perhaps early February, whenever we're going to have our retreat, that we really take some time and drill down on what's being proposed, what our objectives are, how do we achieve it, and how does it fit within the big picture. And I don't think we have that yet, and so I would encourage us as a board to do that due diligence first, be intentional, and demonstrate as a team that we are truly committed to the principles in the strategic plan and in the principles that we adopted in our anti-racism policy, and truly take this as an opportunity to implement with fidelity a proudly diverse learning environment, as we say that we support, and do it in action, word, and deed. And so I think we should take the time in January and do a deeper dive and understand this connectivity, not only to this particular program, but to the bigger picture, and not leave the questions that were asked earlier or the questions some of us may have to chance. I think we should be much more focused and intentional when it comes to this opportunity that we have at Ruffner.
Dr. Kipton, I did have a couple things that I wanted for clarity. I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. One of the things that I wanted to ask was, what did you use as your guide or focal point when you developed the academic program?
I'll go back to the beginning. We met with parents, staff, and community members, and we brainstormed what kinds of subjects and things the students might be interested in learning, not just at Ruffner, but from across the city. What programs could we put in place that would draw everybody to Ruffner? From there, we spent about 2 meetings doing that, and then we began to formulate questions. We did a rank topics of what will really make Ruffner stand out. And we put together a survey, we formatted the questions, we sent them out. We also had another section where they could write in. And then we looked at, as we got the survey responses back, we looked at the common threads in terms of what subjects children wanted to learn. Children wanted to learn about the arts, they wanted to learn about gaming, they wanted to learn about science and engineering, they wanted to code. And they wanted to do they wanted to have clubs in their building. So from there, as we looked at all those things, we looked at the VDOE standards for K-12 education. And career exploration starts there. And in order for us to capture all of that and to really include the community resources that are here in this area, in the school community, in terms of delivering presentations, visits, exposing children to the many careers that they can explore, we said from there, all of this will fit in well if we took it from career explorations. We offered every child who went to Ruffner and finished middle school to leave middle school with a high school credit-bearing course. Right now, many of our middle schoolers don't do that. They finish middle school, they go to 8th grade, and they start trying to achieve their 22 credits. But in some of your middle schools, children leave with 9 to 13 credits. So when they get to high school, they're almost juniors except for English. Well, we want to give the children at Ruffner that same opportunity. We know parents have to agree for them to go into high school credit-bearing courses, but a big part of the problem in middle school is that we've never offered that to everybody. That's just been for a select few. But what we're saying is that if you make it available, you give the opportunity, you build from 3 through 8, the children are going to be ready for the challenge. And even in the children's responses, they were saying, we need something better here. We need to be excited. We want to have credits, honors courses in our school. And as you look at those things, we thought about how does it fit in to what the state says a college profile student or a career readiness student or a child ready to go into the military. How are they going to be ready to do that? So we said career pathways and explorations. They can explore. They can learn about all the different careers in the world, and they can have here in Norfolk, people from all over the world come into the building and share with them. In elementary school, they can go on field trips. Middle school, they can do field trips. They can form clubs. Many of your music groups on the middle school level, in some of your middle schools, they go to New York every year. How many children at Ruffner have been to New York? But if you build a program, you will find teachers that will come and make that type of commitment. It comes to working and being a champion for the program you put in place. You can't put something in place and walk away from it. You have to put it in place, and every year you have to work it so that when you do leave it, there's a legacy of activities and opportunities in the program where whoever comes in, there's a template. They know what needs to happen. There's a year-long calendar of events. There's an open house at the end of September for all the clubs in the school. In each CTE class in middle school, there is a co-curricular organization. They compete. Many of our middle schoolers have been to Nashville. They've been to California. They've done things in some of your middle schools that they're not getting at Ruffner, but they have the same courses and curriculum many times. It comes down to finding the right individuals to put into the program by having the right program. And you can do that. Is it going to happen overnight? No. It took a while to build the Meadowbrook program. When the Meadowbrook program left Meadowbrook and went to Rosemont, the legacy went there with it. The activities continued. Every 8th grader went to UVA for a school visit. 7th graders went to ODU in Norfolk State. 6th graders had people come in. There was a career fair there every year. Children were exposed. At Lake Taylor Middle School, they went to UVA one year. The second year, they went to Howard University. We tried to make their experiences real for them. You have to change the focus, you have to change the community, and you have to really, really want to have your children look forward to the future. And they should have a college experience, even if they've never had one before. 8th grade, 7th grade, that's the year. Norfolk State, ODU, Virginia Wesleyan, Tidewater Community College. When our children leave middle school, at this point in their lives, they should be ready to do some dual enrollment courses when they hit 10th and 11th grade. Once they pass that 11th grade SOL course, 12th grade should be at TCC. We get them off our campus, put them in the city. They're just wasting time there. And this is my goodbye speech, so I probably need to be quiet. Sorry, I don't even know if I answered your question, but when it comes to educating our children, you really need to, if you make a good program in a school that's just all black children, children of other cultures are going to want to come. Nobody's going to pass up a good plate, and nobody's going to pass up a good education. And you need to do something for the children of Ruffner.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a quick technical thing. So Ruffner's capacity as a school, how many students can attend that?
1,193. And with the current enrollment that we have projected to go next year with that 30% seat choice, it's still going to be under capacity.
So right now the current enrollment is roughly
379? 380? Yeah, we got a report from
380 students out of a building that could hold
1193.
1193.
And you have about 179 at Tidewater Park? 129 at Tidewater Park. And so the 129 at Tidewater Park are going to Ruffner, plus about 60 from PB Young. The second graders at PB Young, they're going to Ruffner next year.
Well, yeah, because they're definitely
third grade, yeah. Well, right now they're in second grade, but next year they'll be in third grade at Ruffner, yeah.
And Ruffner, by nature, is a middle school, so it's pulling from just roughly what neighborhoods?
Chesterfield, Jay Cox, PB Young, Tidewater Park. That's all of them? And there was one more. It's PB Young, Tidewater Park, Chesterfield, and Jaycox.
Yeah.
So those communities, I know one in particular, Tidewater Park, is in the St. Paul's quadrant. And so when we look at those numbers, we can definitely tell that there's been an impact there. And I can definitely sense and hear a rationale in respect of where these other students are, because we've seen it, where we've had higher populations of students in other areas and overpopulation in respect because individuals are moving around. But I definitely think as we start looking at the people first and what they're doing and tracking and working with individuals who have been relocated outside of that community and in other areas, but have made the commitment to come back and to the area. I think that we miss that it may be some vacant buildings that are coming down there, but there will be individuals moving back into that. And it particularly will be a diverse community that will move back in there. So when we talk about diversification of potential educational experience, we've got those opportunities there. I appreciate you sharing that, particularly on the career pathways, as we've, a lot of us talked about in the respect of ensuring that students not only leave with their high school diploma, but they have the ability to get certification so that they can go to work. And if we're exposing students earlier to various different career opportunities and even the option of college, that creates a whole new world for them and an opportunity to continue to move forward and better prepares them for when they're ready to transition into high school and that they can be able to continue on. So I appreciate that. I think that we've had a lot of discussion on this particular item here. But I just want to point out that there are a lot of technical things that will still be in discussion.
Yes,
and that this board and along with the administration will continue to have a conversation as to what those particular items will look like.
And we expect that, yes.
Yep, definitely.
There's a lot of work ahead.
Yes, Mr. Jordan.
Our student representative had some thoughts.
Definitely, yes.
If I may, I just want to say, Dr. Gibson, I think you've done an excellent job of articulating exactly what I think Ruffner needs as someone who attended there for my 6th grade year. I had a wonderful experience in the Young Scholars Specialty Program, and I just want to say, I think to kind of address some of the issues that were being discussed, to kind of go off of what you were saying, Dr. Gibson, I definitely think there should be some consideration of potentially bringing a program, maybe perhaps even a specialty program to the school that kind of feeds into everything that the community and the students and the parents were asking for that Dr. Gibson elaborated on in her report. I think that the specialty program, by creating one that would be able to draw students from across the city, because when I went to Ruffner, I noticed the demographics and absolutely having a specialty program with a strong reputation and a strong foundation educationally wise drew a lot of diversity to the school, and I think that is exactly what needs to be considered and implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. With that, Madam Clerk, we'll go ahead and proceed. Roll call.
Basine?
Nay.
Campson?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
I support Dr. Gibson's speech and her sentiments. We haven't done that in Norfolk yet. And all I'm asking is that we, hope is not a strategy. So what I'm asking is that we have a more detailed, connected plan that takes that vision and makes it a reality. And I don't think we have that yet. And so I vote nay at this time.
Martin?
Aye.
Ralston?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. The recommendation has been approved. Right, we removed facilities report, and that's now item 6.03. We are in a formal session, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the facilities report.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we accept the facilities report. Is there any discussion? I'll extend the floor opportunity to Ms. Basine, who requested it to be removed.
Yes. I just wanted clarification on what type of organization Communities in Power is, if I may. Oh.
You saw an organization up there called Communities in
It
Power?
is, it's
Yes.
one of the ones that applied to use one of the schools.
And it had singular asterisks, and usually the notation clarifies it for me, but this one I was unclear with what it meant.
So bear with me on this scene. I was not aware
Take your time.
that this would come up.
A permit was not issued because the certificate of insurance provided does not name MPS as a certificate holder.
Yeah.
That's what the star single has next to it.
No, I know, but I don't.
Sorry to be shuffling paper. The question was the communities in power?
Yes.
Yes, I do not have any notes on that. I will be glad to send you an email explaining what we have on that. But we'll be happy to find out and send you something.
Okay. Well, when in the note, if it says MPS does not name MPS as a certificate holder, what is that pertaining to? If you don't have that, you can get back to me.
I'll be happy to get that for you.
I just want to be sure about what I was voting on.
We require a certificate of insurance, and we generally are named on the policy. So let me find out about that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I didn't know if you were finished because I have a question
you
also.
go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Jordan.
On the same report, the Life Point Church Hampton Roads, 43479A. What on the report? It shows that there was a Sundays only activity from November 8th, I guess, through November 20th. What was the usage?
I am seeing that November 6th through the 20th. My understanding is this is a church that's being formed, and they're using it for church services.
Yeah, so I kind of raised this at the previous meeting too, is I understand our policy that if the request is to use our schools for religious services, then the request is supposed to come to the board. Otherwise, it would be addressed by the superintendent. And so, if I'm reading this correctly, this would have been if you're correct that it was church services, then those religious services, I shouldn't say church, but those religious services, if I understand the policy correctly, would require board approval first, versus other activities. Let's say if the religious organization was tutoring or doing other events, that's one thing. But if they're using the public buildings for religious services, then the request comes to the board for approval before we issue the usage.
I'd need to look at the policy. I do believe we did review this before we signed off, but I will be happy to look at the policy again.
Thank you.
I agree. And I'm just vaguely remembering that I think it's after a certain amount of time that it's supposed to come back, but definitely for us to go look at certain amount of time that they're in usage before it comes to the board, but definitely go back and we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, I think what it said is that that the usage is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
It's under a certain amount of time. If it's not a religious usage, then the superintendent can go ahead and approve it. If it is religious use, it comes to us, because we had a similar situation. I think we had a church that wanted to use ADL, and we had that same scenario.
Definitely. Mr. Jenkins, also looking on that same line, is it just a clerical error? Should that be 2023 and not 2022?
Well, it's November 2022.
No, it's got November 6th, 2022, and then it has November 20th, 2022. I'm thinking that might be like a year that they're asking to be there and not a week.
No, I believe that is, I will verify. My understanding is they would be there for several months, and I believe this is a rent only for the
Might just be
3
November.
weeks that are showing here, or
Okay.
I guess it's actually 2 weeks, 6/14th and.
Okay.
Oh, so this is just showing the month of November, but the actual permit is longer?
My understanding is it's for several months, but again, I apologize. It's been several months since this first came up. But we did, as I recall, we did look at the policy to make sure that there was not a conflict. But I will look into it again.
All right. So we'll do a follow-up on that one. Anyone else?
Would you recommend getting answers to these follow-up questions and postponing, or are we going to amend it with that we get some of the questions answered?
Already used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're just accepting it at this particular point. I think there's some good questions that have come
Okay.
up that
All right.
definitely going forward.
It's
Okay,
really a
just wanted to
historical
clarify.
document.
Yeah, it's just us receiving at this particular point, but I think that there have been some good points to come up, and then we definitely follow up.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Is there any additional questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Hampson? Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Sorry, aye.
Martin? Aye. Rousen?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. The facilities report has been adopted, accepted. All right, we're now moving to item 7, committee reports, school board committee task force report outs. So, Ms. Campson, would you like to start first?
Well, I do want to start first because I'm excited about this. One of the goals, one of the school boards really, one thing that we really were concerned about was school safety, and we are here tonight talking about school safety. And so I'm glad to announce that the Safe School Task Force is back in operation. As you may or may not know, we were trying to get finished up. Dr. Martin and I were working with the team, and the governor shut us down when he shut everything else down that spring. So it took us a couple years to get all the other things, to get everything going back at school. And thanks again to Dr. Gibson. How are we going to know who to talk to when she's gone? She went in and pulled out all of the information that had been saved from the work that the task force had done earlier. Also had a list of the people in the positions and the different positions of those experts around us that we had used before, and we're very familiar with how we did it. So we now have that groundwork done, and I'm happy to say that today the formal invitations went out to people that had already accepted it, but to get it all set and going. And so we will be starting in take 4 months. Starting in January, meeting first at the police precinct and then going into our schools and looking at things that we need to see as we look at the safety of the building itself and keeping people out, looking at the problems with using technology and especially the social media stuff, and things like that are going to be covered here as we look away to make our schools safer. And so we're very excited about it. Drop in, and when we go, we'll have a thing. We always start at 8, so that 8 to 9:30, so that the people that are so generous from the sheriff's department and the police department and the FBI, people like that will be coming in. I think Mr. Mallory told me today he thought he was going to have 25, I think, participating in it. And congratulations to him, because he found that list, and he knows them all anyway. All these security people know each other. And so he's got that all set. They're all invited and ready to go, and they were such a big help. And then Miss Hamlin will be working with Mr. Mallory. They, of course, will be in charge of the task force, and they're allowing me to stay and go and give my opinions. But, of course, it is, as with any other school board, this isn't a committee, it's a task force, but it's the same idea. They're run by the staff here, but we always have our people in so we can report back. So we're very, very excited. Our people are very, very excited, all the people that we've invited. They were trying to talk us into it before we got shut down to making it a permanent thing. But of course, the task force needs to be done, and then they report out in our goal, and you know how I'm about goals and deadlines. So they'll be reporting out to the school board in May. And then the school board will then take that information and make their choices about which pieces, put them in order and which ones they want to work on. That'll be the school board's decision, of course, as it is with other ones. But I talked a little long, but I'm excited about it, and I really thank Samlin, Dr. Gibson, and Mr. Mallory, who I don't think I saw in here. But they have done a great job of putting this back together for us. So thank you all.
Thank you. Dr. Gabriel?
Thank you. Yes, I'll do a quick report out on 2 items. We're going to wrap up the legislative committee. As you all saw on the video with Dr. Birdsong's report, we had a fantastic legislative day. Thank you, Dr. Pohl, for your organization, and especially thank you to all my board colleagues for their input into the day. The draft that we voted on in the consent agenda, now it is our legislative agenda, really is going to allow us to propel the conversations that are within our buildings to our delegates, our senators on both the state level and the federal level. And what you'll notice in the priorities that we've adopted is that it really tends to go more deep than wide as far as our requests to preserve certain entities because of the what Norfolk Public Schools has to encounter with our students, with the decline in the teacher vacancies that we have. And so you'll see in all of these items how strongly we advocate for what we believe is our fair share and our needed share for the students that we serve and the teachers that we are advocating on behalf of. So I thank everyone who helped to organize it. The advocacy will continue as the assemblies meet, and so I look forward to seeing everyone as we go and talk to them in Washington or in Richmond, and thank you again, everyone, for your support and your feedback. The second report is going to be for facilities. Dr. Birdsong, again, I just want to commend your staff. They are phenomenal. They are true leaders in their field. Ms. Campson and I serve on the facilities committee. Very driven, very task-oriented, high expectations. What you'll see, colleagues, is in the budget that will be upcoming as Dr. Birdsong and team present it, is you're going to see a couple of items in there that have kind of funneled up through the facilities team. One of that is going to be some security cameras and security options that will be coming up, and we wholeheartedly support that. We always get an update on how the ESSER funds are being used as far as HVAC, windows, doors, roofs, parking lots, and so I can say with confidence that the funds are being spent. If they're not being spent, they are being allocated, so that way all the deadlines are being met. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just quickly say, so I had the opportunity to attend the CUBE conference, which was supposed to be in September, but got pushed back. And I look forward to sharing the information. The CUBE conference is the Council on Urban Boards of Education. But one of the sessions that I attended that I think our student rep would really enjoy the information, I look forward to sharing that with you and Dr. Birdsong, was focused on student voice. And there were some really neat ideas that a lot of other school divisions have used to highlight your voice and other student voices in that process, and even when they talked about student representatives. So I was really excited about that one and look forward to sharing that information. There was also a great session in regards to using all the resources that we have to better focus and how we address some of the social emotional needs of our students and also staff members. And so there's a national organization that's been working with a lot of other school divisions, and so I look forward to sharing that information. I think it's got some great ideas that we could potentially pull from that. So that's all I have quickly there. And so we're going to move into the next item, if there isn't anyone else here, and that citizen comment on non-agenda items. I'm going to ask to be excused quickly, and I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Gabriel.
Okay. All right. All right, Ms. Tanner, if you would like to call up those who have signed up for comments on non-agenda items?
Yes, Dr. Gabriel, we have Thomas Calhoun. His topic is staff pay, but then also Nicole Sanders. She's signed up here 3 times in this particular section. So
We'll take Mr. Calhoun.
Good evening. Board members, my name is Thomas Calhoun. I'm president of the Norfolk Federation of Teachers. One of the hardest questions to answer that there is why. Been getting a lot of whys the last couple of weeks now. Thought I would just come talk about them for a minute. Members are calling asking me why Portsmouth and Suffolk were getting their whole $1,000 checks and Norfolk was getting around $650. And said I would call, and I did call some people I know in Portsmouth, and more calls came, and why is Hampton and Newport News getting their $1,000? Norfolk's getting $650. I said, well, I'll call some people I know over there and see what I can find out, because I can't answer these why questions. So I did. I got some answers from there. So, you know, why, Ms. Calhoun, why can't we use the rescue plan money to cover the taxes like some other localities did? And I don't know, but I'll make some calls. So I did. I called here. I talked to some people. I said, well, can we use the rescue plan money? I've been told a couple other localities they're using the rescue plan money. Since all the money is rescue plan money, all of it, the money the governor's using is from the money he got for rescue plan. You guys got $113 million you're sitting on between ESSA and ARP. I said, well, can we use that money? And I was told, yeah, we could use the rescue plan money. And well, why don't we? Well, if we use the rescue plan money, I was told that it would take money away from what you already have planned to do with the rescue plan money. And I said, well, thank you. That certainly answers my question. You know, accountants tell you, show me your budget, and I tell you your priorities. And it seems every time I come here, it's about your priorities. I had a conversation today. I said, well, look, I'm looking at your plan for spending the ARP ESSA plan. I don't see anywhere where you have dedicated money to retain or attract new teachers. I see HVAC, I see everything, but I don't see any money spent there to retain and attract new teachers. And you can't use the rescue plan money for your teachers like these other cities, but you can use it for other things. That's what I was told from out this building. So I just wanted to let you all know that I don't have a question for them. I can't answer why. I can't answer why they're no higher on your priority list.
Thank you.
So, okay, Nicole Sanders.
Sanders.
On November 4th, 2022, my daughter came home and she had a swollen face and a gash from the top of her nose to probably about the middle of her nose. And she was already after school because she was participating in volleyball at Norview Middle. And when my daughter came home, I instantly went up to the school to find out what had happened to my daughter. Apparently, the culture at Norview is the students kick the door in when they are using the restroom. And unfortunately, this happened to my daughter on this particular day. There was a prior incident that already happened, and I'm just refilling y'all because I sent the email on, I sent the email to you all regarding what happened, and the same folks that always responded, no one else did, so, my daughter got hurt, okay? And the following week, my daughter was absent from school. She was sick. It was election day. It was a whole bunch of other stuff going on. That was a short week. And no one from the school seemed to be able to tell me what's going on or what happened to my daughter or be able to pull the footage. So you can imagine my frustration as a parent who has a child that has gotten hurt. The dean, naturally in true Norfolk Public School fashion, did not respond back to me. I had to come back up to the school and get answers. Her answers was not suffice enough for me. Actually, she really didn't even give me any clear-cut answers. And then I moved on to the principal. From there, who, she wanted to bring in some additional backup, being Dr. Kempsey. We did not initially meet. Because of some whatever she had going on, and we finally met. And it took a month from November 4th to November 29th to have a meeting, a clear-cut meeting about a video about what happened outside of the bathroom regarding my daughter. And I'm highly offended that your principal insinuated, because prior to going into the restroom, my daughter and some of the other young ladies were playing. I'm highly offended that she insinuated that because allegedly my daughter was in the bathroom with another young lady, and that's how she got hurt. I did not send y'all the pictures, but for the trajectory of the door, my daughter's entire left face was swollen. And there is a gash on her face. She was in the very first stall. So I'm not sure how big the stalls are at Norview Middle. I don't have the dimensions, but she wasn't in a handicap bathroom when this happened. To insinuate that my daughter should have gotten hurt because she was in the bathroom playing, I'm offended by that, highly. This is the culture that's going on at Norview Middle. She brought up my live, and in my live, I discussed how. Excuse me?
Your time has expired.
Okay, well, what do you want me to do about my other comments?
You sent them an email, right?
Yes, and no one responded.
It's in your email. We appreciate you. Thank you.
So that means what? You don't care about the safety?
No one said that. You're here. We're following the protocol for public comment.
Mm-hmm.
Get 3 minutes. I was glad you were bringing it to a resolution.
So what do you want me to do about I signed up again as well?
Sign up again, you get one opportunity.
I'm speaking in regards to another parent that could not make it. Your community engagement that you're talking about, she reached out to me because she's unable to come to the meeting. The same thing happened to her child. But if we're not concerned about that as well, I can have her send another email as well.
I don't want to be offended by the insinuation. We're not. So you've had an opportunity to express yourself for your 3 minutes. If you have any additional comments that you'd like to share.
That's why I'm here, because clearly you saw the email and you didn't respond.
The policy also states that personnel and student issues should be sent through email.
It was sent through email, hence the reason why I'm back here yet again. You don't care about the safety of the students. The culture at Norview Middle is toxic, and you don't have to worry about it. I don't care about you doing that. I really don't.
You can have a seat, Ms. Sanders. Thank you.
You don't care about these kids.
That concludes our speakers for this evening.
A month. It don't take that long. But had my child gotten
Ms. Sanders, you can, thank you. Please, do not interrupt the meeting at this particular point. So at this moment, we have finished it.
You'll have a real problem on your hands.
Is there a threat? Okay. All right, so we are at the time for adjournment. And I'd like, as we would say, Dr. Gibson, shift the atmosphere. And so to shift that atmosphere, just as much as we say congratulations and thank you for your time and service, we do want to take this opportunity to thank another individual for his service as a member of this school board. And so I would like at this particular point in time to thank Dr. Rowson for his time here on the school board. Clerk has it down there. She's sending it on down. But we wanted to provide a small token of appreciation. It's been a custom on this board, as I've sat on that side and here, that they recognize and say thank you with something. And so we know that you are a teacher's teacher as you prepare teachers. And so that universal sign has always been an apple, right? So we wanted to provide this to you. Thanks for your service on the school board, starting on your appointment on December 15th of 2021, and now ending on December 31st of 2022, Dr. Leon Rowson, who represented Ward 4, and we thank you for your time here, sir. Beautiful. So you didn't wait the Teacher Appreciation Day.
I know. And I'm going to call this my 40-year apple. This is my 40th year in education. And so it's been a long time. So this is a nice apple to get. But it was my pleasure to serve.
Oh, turn your mic on.
Oh, is it on?
Mic's on, just turn it down.
It's here. It has been a pleasure to serve on this board in Norfolk Public Schools and the 27,000 plus students. It was a pleasure. I must admit, it has been one of the most challenging and complex and rewarding roles I've ever had in my 40 years. It has been absolutely fabulous, and I've learned a lot, and I've seen a lot, and I look forward to still working with Norfolk Public Schools, which I do with grant projects and also with student teachers, so I will have a connection with Norfolk Public Schools as long as I'm in the education profession. So thank you so much, and I want to thank my colleagues for being wonderful colleagues, and it's been a pleasure to serve. Happy holidays. Thank you so much.
I just want to, as a courtesy extended, anybody else want to say anything? Okay, Doctor. Okay.
Dr. Persson.
I have a couple of thoughts to share. First of all, Dr. Rowson, I want to thank you for your service and dedication to the children and the families of Norfolk Public Schools. I want to thank you for stepping up to serve in the role as school board member during a very critical time for the school division. I've always appreciated your thoughtful and professional input and insight, and your laser-like focus on data and always about the outcomes for children. I really always appreciated that. I appreciate your deep understanding, and I do mean deep understanding of our work, and for being supportive, I'm going to cry, I'm trying not to, supportive of me as the superintendent of schools, and always being respectful of me and my role in the school division. And I'll just forever be grateful for your mentorship, your kindness, and your sincere, genuine attitude and care for the children and for everyone in the school division. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr.
Go ahead, Dr. Martin.
I always like to think back to 2018 when we were both running for the first time. And, we didn't know each other before that experience, but I really enjoyed getting to know you at all of the events. There were tons of events. And just, I really always thought you were such a kind, approachable gentleman. And I was, really, really excited when the opportunity came and you actually applied for the position year ago, which I can't believe it's been a year. I feel like you've been here the whole time. And so it's been a pleasure to actually get to work with you and get to know you better. And I just want to wish you the best. I know you talk about your hometown of Edenton and potential retirement down the way, and I know that your heart is in public school education, and it shows, your passion shows in everything you do. And so I just want to thank you for bringing that to this board this year.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Martin.
Sampson.
we've had a school board that's full of gifted, educated people. We haven't always been able to get along together and work together, but everyone, of course, his heart is in the right place because we're all here for the children. But when he came with his nice, calm demeanor, it forced the rest of us to bring it down. And I admired the way he could sit back and think about what he was hearing and then put in those quickly made but very thorough comments about what we were talking about. His training as a 40-year educator certainly came through, and I was always impressed with that, how no matter what happened, he never had any bad words to say about anyone. He never raised his voice. It was such a wonderful calming effect on our board, and we're really going to miss that. Hopefully your role model will continue as I think we really have been working together much, much better. And I think a lot of it was when we saw how calm and you were, it embarrassed the rest of us to know that we needed to use the same kind of behavior. And so we're going to miss that, but hopefully your legacy will be here, and we'll think about it when I go to snap at someone. I'll think, now what would Leon say to that behavior?
Make a face to Mr. Jordan.
Right. That's good you could call me on that one. Anyway, we are going to miss you, but I know you'll go on. You're working with the teachers to get them ready to bring them here into Norfolk Public Schools.
Yes.
And we kind of are hoping that we see you suggest to them that this would be a good place to come.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rousen, as Dr. Birdsong said, you came in at a critical time, and you've done some critical work within our board. A superintendent's contract, a budget, a strategic plan, bonuses for our teachers, one of the retention strategies that we have, critical votes, voting on the new vision for Ruffner. All of that is going to be a legacy that you will leave on for the students that you will not actually have the opportunity to see, but you have had your influence on them and their future. And that's where your heart is, because you're teaching their teachers to help guide them. And I will never forget some of the things that you said in governance training, especially the Q-tip. You want to tell everybody what that means?
Quit taking it personal.
So he said, sometimes I tell my students, do you need a Q-tip? and now I use that at the practice. Do you need a Q-tip? Not for me to clean your ears out, but and so I will. I've always appreciated your perspective on our many different conversations, and your true care of the children that we serve and the different things that they bring to the classroom. Because while we are very focused on the student outcomes, you do thread in the different issues that students carry with them when they come to the classroom. So I'm going to miss you too, and I thank you again for giving your time from your family and from your other priorities that you serve to help serve on the board to the teachers and staff and students of Norfolk Public Schools.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gabriel.
So, like I say, Dr. Rawson, onward and upward. Oh, did Mr. Singh? I'm sorry. Ms. Campson, coming you up. I'm sorry.
That's right. I try and keep her from.
Well, Leon, this might be your way to continue serving on the board. I might just have to say your name, and Ms. Campson will recenter. So, your presence will still, what's that? Good luck. I know. I mean, I have to sit next to her, so.
Leon would never make those remarks.
You brought it up. I don't know. But I just want to thank you for your service for the past year. it's like drinking out of a water hose when you first start, you know, you jumped right in, and just really appreciate your willingness to do that job. This job, which, as you said, is complex, challenging, and yet rewarding. And so I just want to thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'll close out. It was good learning about our shared affinities, both with historically black colleges and universities, and some things that we've shared family to family. And so I appreciate that. You still have a invitation from me for lunch, and I hope that you will continue to share the research that that you receive and that you see in your professional position, and share that research with us as we continue to make decisions moving forward. So I appreciate getting to know you a little bit better, and I hope that we'll continue to find ways to get to know each other even better in 2023.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So with that, again, thank you, Leon. This is the last meeting of 2022. So we've, as had been stated, 2 more days. Our students and teachers get to go on a nice 2 weeks, solid 2 weeks. That this board approved in the calendar. And that one extra day on the second will now be an extra day off in March that you wouldn't have gotten.
Right.
So the going home, I guess the bonuses and everything else that's there. But on behalf of the board, we just say thank you. Thank you to those who are present in this room, those who are watching, for the work that you do each and every day to support our students, our bus drivers, cafeteria. I mean, I'll get in trouble. Everybody in Norfolk Public Schools, because we can't do this without you. And if no one said it to you, we say thank you, and we appreciate you all and everything that you do to make this board great. I would just like to say, in the respect that the board shared something that I was very happy to experience and be a part of. We actually sat down. We've been doing a little bit more of that, of eating and just having conversation, and just as much as you saw some laughs and things that are here. As we're going through governance training and everything else, working as a board to get to know individuals and people, and to disagree and not be disagreeable, and to continue to do the work, and to come together collectively. So as we take some time off to reflect and sit back and rejuvenate and come back in for new work. We know tomorrow 5 members of the board will take oaths. That's just in a private ceremony, but on January 11th, we will have a public oath ceremony, reorganization, more governance training, and we will begin the second half of this year stronger and better and continue to move forward. And so we'll see some new faces here, but the ultimate goal is to mesh and come together to do what's in the best interest of our students, and to ensure that we support the superintendent and her strategic plan, our strategic plan now that we've all come together to ensure that happens. So it's 8:58. You did, but it's okay. Hearing nothing else, we stand adjourned. Everyone have a great holiday.
Stay safe.
Yes.
Yes.